Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. The time is now.
This is the Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast, brought to you by CTR Media Network. And alongside me is my co-host, Mr. J. Bean. And we got a special guest tonight, man. Mr. Keep Trucking himself. Keep Trucking Transportation. Mr. Michael Nelms. What's up, man?
How you doing there, sir?
Oh, good, bro. It's good to have you on the show, man.
Good to be here.
So, yeah, appreciate your time.
Yeah. Man, so let's get right into it, man. Introduce yourself to the people, to the audience out there.
How you doing? I'm Mike Nelms, CEO of Keep Trucking Transportation. I'm a father first and foremost, a Howard University graduate who specializes in leasing on both owners as well as owner operators.
That's what's up. Now, man, could you share a bit, man, of your personal journey and what inspired you to enter the transportation industry?
Oh, man, transportation is rough, man. My personal journey, a Howard graduate from Buffalo, New York. I started dabbling in, becoming an entrepreneur about 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 17 years ago. Pretty much, I started off, I had a medical firm. I had a medical collections team as well. So we kind of dabbled in like accounts receivables, third-party collections as well. And then I just kind of took that transition into trucking because it has so many layers to it, man. So many multiple streams that you can create and get creative in trucking. So I kind of just focused all my energy on trucking. And man, 9 years later, almost 10 years later, here we are.
Man, who put your focus on the trucking? Like, did you have somebody in your family? So how did you know that what you were doing, like to translate it or crossed over into that? I
didn't know anybody that was in trucking actually. I started off with box trucks and just kind of worked my way all the way up to semis, from dry vans to reefers, step decks, flatbeds, and just kind of start taking things to the next level. I just have, I'm a businessman. I just kind of, I can get into companies and I can just kind of figure out how do you squeeze that dollar, right? How do you create multiple streams in any business that I've been in? And so trucking is just one of those industries that I realized, you can make money so many different ways. Right now, could name a few, I guess later on, but like we established like 18, 19 different ways that we figured out how to make money in trucking. So we just play with it. Every few months we come up with a new idea and just see if we can make it work. Just even if it's just buying, fuel, even if it's just providing fuel cards and getting a percentage off your fuel card. Just really mimic the models of like a lot of larger companies, how they do their contracts, what's in their contracts, different ways that they make money in trucking outside the actual truck. And we just emulate it and just kind of put our spin on it for the most part.
Yes, sir. Man, now touching back, man, you mentioned Howard University.
Yeah.
Being from New York, man, what made you want to go to Howard?
You know what, man, honestly, I wanted to stay home and go to school, hang out with my friends still. My older brother, he was a little more street savvy than me. At that time, I believe he was incarcerated, on his way to being incarcerated to get a case. And he was like, man, you can't stay here. You can't stay in the town. It's what we call Buffalo. And my girlfriend at the time, she was actually applying to go to Howard. So I knew nothing about, even where DC was. I had never stepped foot, in soil other than Buffalo and Ohio. So she kind of, helped me with my application, and it just kind of took off from there, and so that's really how I ended up at Howard. I knew nothing about Howard. It was just one of those things where she was going there, and I knew that she would be making the right decision. She later on became a doctor, and she just kind of dragged me to Howard. But that was probably one of the greatest things that ever happened.
Yeah, man. Like,
so you think by going?
Go ahead, JB.
I think I was going to ask you more about Howard. You think by going to Howard, how has that shaped you as a businessman? Being around the DC community.
You know what? I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for psychology and administration of justice. I think Atlanta really kind of shaped me as far as being an entrepreneur. I was one when I was a youngster, when I was delivering newspapers. I was elected for different streets, and I had to employ people. I was 12, right? Like my daughter's age now, and I had to like hire people to actually deliver the papers for some of the other streets because I couldn't do it all. And so I think it just kind of was in me since then. And I never picked up on it until I got older and realized like this is, I always wanted my time back. I never really wanted to work for somebody, right? So the only way is just to get creative and
most definitely
find that, that you're good at, which was to me business. And I was like, man, I can do this. So, and to me, every business is the same. You know, you run it the same. The structure is the same. If you got that foundation, it'll be successful. And so I just learned how to just kind of pivot from, like I say, from medical collections, accounts receivable, those type businesses, and I just used some of those tools and implemented it into trucking. So it's a little easier for me at that point. You know,
Yeah.
once you put this many years in, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
And you know, so we just build from experience.
Yes, sir. Now, man,
Most
do
definitely.
you come from a family with an entrepreneurial spirit, or are you the
Um,
first one?
you know what? I didn't realize my mother. She's been doing hair our entire life. Even had her, you know, salon, little makeshift salon that we did out the basement. But I think and not realizing it that you know people always ask me that question. I'm like, nah, you know, we didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs, but the reality is we did. You know, watching my mother being able to work from home,
Yeah.
being home, you know, when we went to school, being home when we got back, right, being able to spend all that time with us, and I didn't realize that that's something that I always wanted to do, and so it just kind of came about as I got older.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's see, man.
My question is, like from box trucking to the actually driving 18 wheelers, what's the pros and cons from being in a box truck to being in a semi?
Yeah.
Man, you know what? Yeah, I think more so box truck is pretty cool because a lot of people do local work with box trucks, so you home a lot. And
Yeah.
then you got some regional, some OTR with box trucks. To me, and I did both. I scaled up to 12 box trucks when I first started. Of course, you know I didn't have the knowledge, you know, then that I do now. But with semis, I like semis because they definitely pay more. Now, you know, don't get me wrong, some great box truck drivers, but you know, when you're dealing with semi drivers, it seems like they take it a step further. At least when it's considered to have like, you know, a class B, class A, CDL, you know, class A for semis. But really just the reason why I like the semis is because there's so many different trailer types. So you can pretty much you know, adapt and pivot with the market as it swings and just change your trailer. Like there's been a time where you know, drive-ins are making a lot of money. Well, it's not, you know, it's not the case now. So you take to the next level, which would be either reefer or flatbed, step deck, or RGN. So with the trailers, you know, the trailer type, you can kind of switch your freight. You can switch, you know, who you can haul for. You know, different trailers are for different seasons. So I think that's why I really like, you know, semis.
Gotcha. Uh, man, so I seen, man, you posted the other day that you're looking for some drivers for flatbed right now. Is that
Absolutely.
still true?
Absolutely. Because we do a lease on program with Keep Trucking, we always have trucks. We always have trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you know, we may lease on 4 or 5 trucks in a week. Sometimes we may lease on a few trucks in a month. But when it comes, it comes. And so you'll see me post every now and then on social media on flatbed drivers. And the reason why I do it on specifically my Instagram is because I want to give my followers a job first. And then if you know if I don't find somebody within a few days, and I'll post on Indeed, and just kind of open it up to everybody. But you know, you hear me preach. You know, we're just one big team, one big trucking community. So
Yeah.
why you know, try to employ people that's already following us, you know, on social media platforms and seeing what we're doing, you know, for the trucking community.
Man, you also have a lot of people that feel like when they want to get into transportation that they got to go get their own MC, they got to go get their own DOT number. How do you feel about that? What's the pros and cons of being an owner operator, running your own thing, or running up under somebody else's?
I just taught a 3-day workshop, which actually just ended last night. And so one of the things that we spoke about is exactly that. You know, the fact that a lot of people just want to hurry up and they want to be their own boss and they want to go get an MCDOT. The problem I see with that is that I've been in trucking, like I said, almost 10 years, and I'm still learning stuff. It is so much to learn,
Yeah.
so much to implement when you first start in your MC, your authority. One, your authority is new, so a lot of brokers, they're not going to want to let you haul their freight. Some 60 days, 30 days. I've even seen up to 180 days. You got your
Yeah.
TQLs of the world. TQL, you know, they'll hire anybody. But of course, those rates are going to reflect that, right? Those rates on the
Exactly.
is going to be a lot lower than rates on, you know, a load that somebody who really is looking for a seasoned MC, an aged MC. So, you know, one, your MC is not aged. Two, your insurance is a lot higher when when you get your own authority at first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another issue is, you know, if you have a MC that's 2 months old, how do you try to hire a driver that has a CDL for 5 or 10 years? those drivers already know this is a new business.
Yeah.
They're probably not established and structured correctly because they are new. They are so new. You got to learn these things through experience, and they just don't have that experience. So sometimes it's even harder if you're not an owner operator. You're an investor like myself who buy trucks and put drivers in the trucks. Sometimes it's hard to manage that driver when they know that they have more knowledge and experience than you do. So it's just the learning curve. I tell people all the time, when you lease on, you automatically adapt the resources that person with that aged MC has. If it's cheaper insurance, if it's they may have some maintenance plus, cheaper tires, different fuel card programs. So to me, it just makes sense. Trucking isn't going anywhere. It's approaching $1 trillion business, and it's going to be around forever. So there's no rush to go out there and make the mistakes that we made, those costly mistakes, those $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 mistakes. Knowing how to handle an insurance claim, knowing how to handle a reefer download if you have a claim with a reefer unit. These things you need to just, you can't learn it in the class. And we teach classes, and they're great classes, but there's no way to teach trucking in a 3-day class, a 2-month class. This thing takes years to learn and understand. And as you're understanding it, you're constantly losing money. Right. So I always say lease on, learn the game, establish those resources, maybe get some direct shippers as connections before you go ahead and you want to start your own authority.
Copy.
Yeah.
Nah.
My question, I'm sorry to cut you off, T-Squin. Besides having a CDL, what's the minimum requirements you need to get started in the industry, like as far as box trucking?
It's into the trucker industry at all. Box trucks, well, obviously you don't need a CDL. Yeah. There's really no minimum requirements. 18, you got to stay in the state. 21, you can leave the state if you're trying to go over road. But there's no other requirements other than just having a regular driver's license. Even if you have a SAT program, if you're in the SAT program, you can still drive box trucks. Once you complete that program. So there's really nothing holding you back from getting into the box truck business. That's why a lot of people, when they get in the trucking, it's the easier route. Obviously the cheapest and the easiest route to get into the industry to me would be dispatching. But as far as driving a truck, there's no minimum requirements for a box truck driver. And I think that's why a lot of people get into it. But understanding that dealing with box trucks, you're gonna the breakdowns are the same. The only difference is you have a trailer, right? Those breakdowns are still costly. Those DOT violations are still costly. That first year audit, when you first get your authority, that's another thing that people need to do. They need to learn by leasing on so that you can even pass your audit once you get into the trucking industry, and it is quite extensive. So it's just those things. I always look at it like this: when you lease onto a company, you automatically have a big brother, big sister, a mentor, right? So that helps you to be able to be successful in this industry. It's forever changing, so you got to attach yourself to something. You got to establish some type of team, somebody you can run ideas through.
Yeah, and they already got the network and the connections.
Right.
So just tap in and hey, you might let them handle all the overhead and all that kind of stuff, and you might not have to worry about the insurance, or you might get a discount on insurance if you got your own equipment.
Absolutely.
You kind of went toward it. Do you have a CDL yourself?
I don't. Nope.
In this game, do you have to know how to drive a truck to be a part of transportation?
Absolutely not. I've been in it 10 years. Like I say, almost 10 years. I approach it from a business perspective. Even when you consider buying trailers and renting trailers out, like mobile real estate, these are just different things that we've tapped into. Roadside assistance program, we had it as well. So no, you don't have to have a CDL, and in fact, you don't even have to touch a truck. You don't even have to buy a truck to get into the trucking industry. That's why I tell people, man, it's it's a great industry. You got people that released from prison. They got a lot of prison programs out in trucking. People, even in some prisons, you can actually obtain your CDL before you get out of prison. So I think trucking industry is one of those things that it's easy to tap into it depending on how you do it, right? But if you want to get to that next level and scale and diversify your portfolio, it's always best to just attach yourself with somebody who's been there. But this is a great industry to do it in. It definitely is.
Copy. Now you got a lot of people. It's been on social media lately. A lot of people have been talking about the transportation industry has been going up and down, and right now it's in the down period. You got a lot of people talking about they getting out, man. Ain't no money. The race is garbage. I'm selling my equipment. All this kind of stuff. how have you been able to? How has Keep Trucking Transportation been able to sustain during this period of time? And have you seen something similar to this in the past?
Right. Yeah, definitely. First of all, I always laugh when I hear people say there's no money in trucking. I always say, you know, when they say it, I say it's money in trucking. You just don't know how to find it, right? You just don't know how to get it. You hear people say it's no money in trucking. It's dead. And then you ask them what type of equipment they have, and they have older equipment, and it's not under warranty. And some of them are still trying to make money doing power only. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a fly by night industry, right?
Yeah.
So when people say, you know, man, ain't making no money in trucking. Trucking is dead. I always ask them, like, have you pivoted? Have you tried something different? Yeah, you're not gonna make money if you have a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia and it's breaking down every few days, every other week, 2-3 times a month. And you don't have a trailer. That means that you haven't invested properly in this industry. You have to have money to sustain in this industry. People who are going out spending their lives and they don't have any working capital, of course it's going to be difficult for them. You know, if you have a truck with no trailer right now, of course it's going to be difficult for you. So I always ask them, have you tried a different trailer? We know that, you know, it's easy to make 32,000 a month with the flatbed in this industry. Of course, with equipment that's going to get you there, right? You don't see Walmart driving 2015 Freightliners stuck on the side of the road, right? You just don't see it. So when I see somebody who say that, I always try to look at their situation and why isn't it working for them? But it works. I mean, I can name a lot of different ways to make money in truck without even owning a truck, right? So, so when people say it's dead, it's because of what they're doing. And again, 9 times out of 10, those are people who haven't paid for a consultation. They haven't paid for mentorship. They haven't leased on. They, they haven't invested money back into their business. You know, the trucking was booming not long ago. And I always ask them, what did you do to invest? If you already had a truck and you was in the industry 2 years ago, did you buy more equipment? Did you buy trailers? Did you have more than one trailer? I look at those things. What type of contracts do you have? Is there a reason why your drivers keep leaving your company? You got to look inside first.
Yeah.
Say $1 trillion industry dead.
Yeah, we got a comment, man. I'll put this on the screen, man. Let's see. We got a comment from man Jim Clay the one. How do you deal with women that attach themselves to you because you are a trucker and you are making good money? Oh man, we got to jump back in, Mike. We have technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're gonna get Mike back in. But that's a good question, man.
That's a real really good question, man. You know, whenever you make money, man, you know, certain people come out, not just women, but family members and other things.
Family members too, yeah.
Yeah, come with it.
Oh man. While running Swinton Transport, man, I had family members coming out the woodworks, people I know with horrible work ethics, asking me could they drive for me. And I'm like, hell no. Because I'm gonna have to, you're gonna disappear, and I'm gonna have to try to find where my equipment at.
Exactly.
You know, you've been quit every job, or you've been let go from every job, or you go to jail more than you go to work. So
yeah, people understand, man. Yeah, people don't understand. Even though we're family, man, I still need somebody dependable and trustworthy. If you're not dependable and trustworthy, why would I trust you with my equipment? You know?
Yeah, exactly, man. But a lot of people know that. Some people know in these days and time, man. There's some people that know that, you know, truck drivers in certain trades. Oh man, brother Clay. Hell no. Yeah. It's people that some people know that these certain trades and these certain fields pay a lot of money, or they pay good money, or we consider good money. You know, and some people prey on them people. They know. Yeah. So you say your job title.
But yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Also, man, you gotta think like this. You gotta think like this too, man. Like just because people are bringing in a lot of money don't mean they got a lot of money. Cause think about it. If you make $1 million and your bill's $900,000, you ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta make sure you make sure you up on your finances the way you should be. You know, kind of be a minimalist. You know.
Yeah. Man, just don't try to keep up with the Joneses.
But definitely.
Yeah, man. In the military, and I yeah, let's see. He said they're doing something with the feed.
Yeah.
It's always something, man.
Yeah, just a new issue we've been having recently.
You got some virtual haters.
Virtual haters.
But and I'll give an example, man, of people preying on you because they know what kind of money you make. When I was in the military, me and my buddy went out one time.
Yeah.
And he was dating this girl. She lived in the projects. So he said, "Hey man, she got a friend. She asked me, could I bring somebody with me?" And he said, "Twin, you want to come with me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go with you, man. I ain't had nothing to do. I just want to get off the boat." So I ride with him, man. We go head to the projects, we hanging out. So we just chilling. We having a couple of drinks, and the one girl, she asked me what my rank was. I told her my rank. She said, "Oh, so you make this much a month?" I say, "Dang, she know it down to the penny." Wow. And then I say, "Man, how you know that?" "Well, my last dude, he was this, and this how much he made." Yeah. And I was like, "Dang." And then she had asked me what my boy was, and she knew exactly what he made. I said, "Hey, bro, we need to get up out of here. These girls got the pay chart memorized." I say, "Man, we're in the wrong spot, man. These ain't who you want to be talking to."
Yeah. No, most definitely not, man. They after them that money, man. They're gonna trap you.
Yeah.
But,
But man, if we can't get Mr. Mike Nelms back in, we're gonna have to continue this on a later date and time. But he got some good information for y'all, man. And we said we're gonna put his information across the screen. Because if you want to reach out to Keep Trucking Transportation, man, you can reach him at keeptruckingtransportation.com. All right. Keeptruckingtransportation.com, KTT. And let's see. Yeah, man. Let me get to it. So we got a comment, man, Brother Clay. He said they were waiting on y'all.
Yeah. Had that fishing pole out.
Yeah.
Had that fishing pole out.
Yeah. Yeah, they knew this. Shoot. Oh, girl, the one that was talking to me, she didn't want to talk no more because she already knew how much I made. I said, "Man, let's go, bro. Let's go." But also, too, man, if you want to get in contact with Mr. Michael Nelms, he can be reached on IG at Maddie Daddy Time. His daughter's name Maddie, so his IG handle is Maddie Daddy Time. And Keep Trucking Transportation. You can reach him on Instagram at that. And also keeptruckingtransportation.com. But a lot we having technical difficulties with Mr. Mike Nelms. We're going to get him back on a later date. But as always, man, the boy JB and T Swing will keep the show going. Hey, we from H-Town, man.
Yes, sir.
Freestyle Kings.
Well, we get it in.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it work.
Exactly.
Man, it was good. He getting us some gems though, man. Some gems for real.
Yeah. And you got a lot of, like you said, you got a lot of people complaining about transportation right now. He said they just don't know how to pivot. Do they have the right equipment? And a lot of times it would come down to, and a lot of times too, it come down to ego. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People don't want to hear nothing from nobody else, especially if they think that you a peer and they think you're on the same level as them. They don't want to hear nothing.
Yeah, because like when they say, man, you gotta adapt or die, man. You gotta be able to adapt to what's going on now. You know, things don't stay the same. Things are gonna constantly change.
Yeah, and especially in the transportation, man, it's changing. It's changing like every day, every month. Rules and laws are changing. Let's see, man. Let's go ahead and say I gotta have one of those T-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. MCABW, Man Can't Always Be Wrong podcast. Yes, sir. We got you covered. And so, but yeah, man, you just gotta know how to pivot and pay attention, man. And sometimes, man, you can't always be the leader. Sometimes you got to play a position and be just a part of the team. As he talked in about, that you don't necessarily need your MC or a DOT. You can sign on with a bigger company. These bigger companies are already established. They got the connections and the network already in place. Let them worry about the headache. You make your money. Sometimes everybody don't want to be a boss.
Yeah, man, like
it's a lot of responsibility come with that.
Not only that, man. Not only that, some people don't have the intelligence to be the boss. You know what I'm saying?
That's true too.
So sometimes, man, you get that person who got the intelligence and that drive. Sometimes you gotta take a back seat and just make that money. You ain't gotta be in the person leading it to make money. You can be the third, fourth, fifth guy and still make good money off of it, So you always got to be the head, the big fish. If a person's more talented and more skilled at it, then sometimes sit back and let him do his thing and go along for the ride.
Learn from him.
Learn from him. Or you never know, man. That might lead to something else. That's how you fall into things sometimes. You just move with the right people. You fall into stuff.
Yeah, because you're not gonna always be the best. It's gonna always be somebody better than you, stronger than you, faster than you, smarter than you, quick with it, something. Grind harder than you. So man, take a page out their book.
But that's the thing, though. Yeah. Sometimes just being in the room is gonna get you paid.
Yeah.
Just being in the room.
You gotta put yourself around the people. You gotta put yourself around the people that's in them rooms or the people that's gonna get you in them rooms. Well, be authentic. Exactly. Be yourself, though.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
And make sure whatever it is you choose to do, that you love to do it, because then it don't feel like work.
Yeah. Exactly. Man, if y'all didn't know, man, your boy T Swin, I did the theme song for Mr. Michael Nelms. He had an amazing rooftop mixer. And I provided a theme song for him, man, the Keep Trucking Transportation song, man. It is available now. It's streaming. It's on the Transportation and Music album. So if you liked it, man, stream and support, reach out. Also, man, we're going to have to bring him back because he has information on funding, business funding. If you're wanting to get into the trucking game, hit up Mr. Michael Nelms, man. He can point you in the right direction. He can get you guys funding so you can start your own business. And like they say, there's more than one way to get in the game. As Brother Jeff Clay say, hey, there's more than one highway into the city. Yeah. All the time. More than one way to skin a cat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, let's see. Man.
But yeah, man.
Go ahead, JB.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you, man. There's always more than one road to anything,
Yeah.
Anything, man. It's like, so just keep plugging at whatever your dream and goal is. Keep plugging at it, man.
Yeah. Like we said, man, we'll get Mr. Michael Nelms back on. We're going to bring him on a later date. We were having technical difficulties getting started.
Yeah.
Man, but we're going to get it back because the information is important to some people out there, especially people that follow T Swin. My page, this information is very important to them, and it can help them out a lot.
Yeah.
So make sure y'all stay in tune and tap in. And when we get this thing back on again, let's see. Mr. Clay, man, authenticity carries a frequency. Carries a frequency to love. Yeah. Man, just be yourself, man. Sometimes you can burn your own bridge or close the door opportunity trying to be somebody else. Make sure you're you at all times. Carries a higher frequency. Authenticity carries a higher frequency than love. Yeah. Yes, sir. And then too, man, you won't drive yourself crazy trying to conform to something that you're not.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody get you out of character. Be you at all times, man. Don't be afraid to be you when you walk around. Understand what kind of rooms you're in. You know what I'm saying? But be you. But don't try to play somebody else. Try to play as somebody else. It'll show in the end. If not immediately, it'll show in the end. And so, man, with that said, me and JB, we about to get up out of here, man. Make sure y'all tap back in with us, though.
Yeah, man, we're gonna try to run this episode back, man. Like I said, that man has a wealth of knowledge. Very intelligent man, very knowledgeable man. Show you how to, as he said, pivot in the industry, man. You gotta know how to pivot. Yeah, you gotta know how to pivot in any industry. So you got somebody who has the expertise and the knowledge, man. You definitely want to link up with him.
Okay, man, we got him back in the building,
bro.
Let's bring him back on.
Technical difficulties,
man. Hey, we can edit all this, bro. We can.
Okay, good.
So yeah,
that's perfect. Okay, so you said you had a question in the chat.
Yeah, somebody, Brother Clay came and said, "How do you deal with women that attach themselves to you because you're a trucker and you're making good money?"
Listen, man. He said, "How do you deal with it?" You mean that's a funny question. I ain't never had that asked on the podcast, man.
Yeah,
listen, they're not adding no value to what you got going on, man. You better just keep trucking. You better just keep trucking.
exactly.
You
Yes,
know,
Exactly.
sir.
Keep it moving.
no,
Yes,
no
sir.
pun intended. No pun intended, man. It
Yeah.
could be a blessing or it could be a distraction. Right now, I'm not with any distractions. We got a lot of goals in mind, a lot of projects that we have coming up in 2024. What we
Mhm.
trying to end and how strong we want to end in 23. Right now, you just got to stay laser sharp focused. And that's just not women. It's staying out the club,
Yeah.
change some of your bad habits, man.
Yeah.
When you really want to get to that next level, man, you cannot deal with any type of distractions. Friends, families don't even matter. You just got to focus on, what you want to achieve, man. And we all know that the opposite sex could be a little distracting sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Especially
Oh yeah.
when you start to get a little bit successful. But then again, sometimes you do attract the right people. So just vet it. Make sure that it's all for whatever you focused on. And if not, just ignore them DMs, man. Ignore them text messages, man.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah,
You
most
talking about
definitely.
the right circle, man. In this industry, in this business, did you start off with a certain team and then you had to change and remove people, add people, take people out? You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't I
Did you
didn't
have
start
to?
off with a team. Unfortunately, I started off by myself, which is
Wow.
opposite. That's not the way to jump into this industry. At least you gotta have yourself aligned with other people. But as far as letting drivers go, unfortunately, some staff members, dispatchers, it happens, right? It happens. But we're building a team now outside of Keep Trucking, which is something that we're doing for the first time this year, and it seems to be working so far. So we'll see how far it takes us.
All right. What are some of the things you got coming up that you can let the people know about now?
You know what? Funding. We're doing a lot of funding now. It started with the first rooftop mixer, and then we continued with the second rooftop mixer. Where we funded millions live, at those events. But since then, we've kind of put that number to shame. Funding the people in our funding classes that we have. Like I said, we just had a 3-day workshop that ended yesterday. That's pretty big, and changing the game. I talked about old equipment. People with no trailers. So
Mm-hmm.
what we notice is that you may have companies, smaller companies like myself, 20 trucks or less, and they just don't have those resources, right? So we kind of developed a blueprint where it's get the funding, buy your truck and trailer, of course, flatbed or better, right? Staying away from the drive-ins, the reefers,
Yeah.
just kind of tapping more into the specialized freight. Having the rest of the money for your working capital, make sure your truck is under warranty. So that program was really kind of spearheaded and started with the initial getting everybody funded, and then just following that program all the way through, making sure that we have weekly classes for the people who are getting funded and leasing on.
Mm-hmm.
So really just kind of changing the game that way. The people that unfortunately, can't sustain in this industry are the ones with older equipment, no working capital. If you're in the semi game, no trailer
Mm-hmm.
or drive-in, right? So we're creating that position to where people can kind of, get the funding, get the right equipment,
Yeah.
and then still have that working capital stay afloat. So that's one that we are doing pretty big, and right now that's what we're focusing on. We're doing a lot of marketing, a lot of behind the scenes marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using ad spends to kind of reach more people than what's just on our social media platforms.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of energy, but it's something that the industry definitely needs. Every day I'm getting calls. I just got a call before this podcast where I spoke to a gentleman a year ago. I gave him the blueprint. He didn't follow it. So here we are a year later. He's like, man, I think I'm just going to have to lease on now or sell my equipment. So
Mm-hmm.
so we're seeing the results already from people who are taking trucking into a different type of approach. So that's one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're going to do another rooftop mixer in March. But right now we're just focusing on these
All right.
classes. So yeah, that's what we're working on.
Now, when it comes to the
Hey,
funding, it might be some people out there that they don't even know that they're available
Right,
or qualify for funding.
right.
What would you say to them? And
Um,
what's the basic requirements to be qualified for this?
well, for the 0% interest cards, right, 12 months, some of them up to 24 months, you have to have at least a 700 FICO score. And your business could be new. Your LLC or EIN could be new. That's not what the banks are looking for. They're really focusing more on that FICO score. And then they have a CFI program, which for people who don't have that 700 FICO score, and that's fine. You just have to have a really solid business plan. And so we use tools like ChatGPT to kind of help, AI to kind of help put together those business plans. Since we know mostly what the banks are looking for. And that's the business team. Our business funding coach, deals more directly with the funding process. I'm more so just focused on, the leasing on process after they get funded. But there's a lot of things, you have grants. Of course, they're smaller in value, but you do have a lot of grants that you can seek. And, obviously you don't have to pay grants back, especially if you're using it, the right way, of course. But really just kind of educating people on the proper way to do trucking, which is to get that funding. I've seen a lot of people pay cash for the trucks, 15, 16 Freightliner, 50,000 cash, but then they can't afford the insurance or they can't afford the second breakdown that they have. Right. So it's really been counterproductive. So it's important that you take advantage of the initial funding. So for example, if a truck is 100,000 and we get you approved for 100,000, you don't spend that entire bag on that truck. You spend that deposit, which is about 20 to 30,000. You take another 10,000 and use that for your deposit for your trailer, right? So now you got 60, 70,000 that you can use for working capital to keep that your equipment afloat, or expand in other areas in trucking.
Now, how can people get in contact with you? They want to get more information about the funding.
Oh man, at Matty Daddy Time, you can DM me. You can go to keeptruckingtransportation.com website, and you can fill out the little job form. Someone will get back in touch with you. We go live a lot, and a lot of the game that we give, pretty much people say, man, just watching your lives, 2-3 lives, that's a training class for free, and that's why we do it. That's why we do it. Like I said, we just had another training class, a 3-day, where we go over things like AI, how to use AI to push your business. Of course, all things trucking, all things business funding. But yeah, Matty Daddy Time. You can follow me there at MADDYDADDYTIME. Or you can just like I said, go to keeptruckingtransportation.com and you can fill out your information on the job form.
All right, we got keeptruckingtransportation.com going across the bottom of the screen. Make sure y'all tap in, write that down, save it, man, save it in your favorites so you can go look it up later. Also, like you said, it's Instagrams. This is how you can get in contact with them at Matty Daddy Time and at Keep Trucking Transportation on IG. Absolutely. Tap into those lives, man. They're very informative. I vouch for it, bro. You get a lot of game.
I appreciate it.
You give me a lot of game. Some of these people won't give you.
Right.
You're trying to get the knowledge that's going to help you to be able to sustain in this industry. Well, other people, you got a bunch of people out there claiming to be gurus, and they in and out. They in and out. They disappear. Right. They disappear. When they get going good again, then they show up again. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to get you.
Right. People say all the time, man, first of all, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a guru. I'm not a self-proclaimed guru. We just like to give every ounce of what we've been through, in the last 19 years when we do these lives, when we do these classes. That's why we don't really charge that much for the classes. $97 for general admission, $197 for VIP, but we give thousands and thousands of dollars worth of game on these training classes. It's important that you learn from people who have experience. It's one thing for you to take a class and then go and teach it a week or a month later. But when you're dealing with people that have like real experience, that have been through everything you can think of in the trucking industry, and just really want to regurgitate it so that you don't have to experience those same hurdles that we had to overcome. The difference between us is, we don't hold nothing back. We just giving the game away. The game don't got to be sold all the time, right? So, it's different when you tap in with us, compared. And then it's the access to be able to sit down and really have access with the people that's teaching the classes or the owner of the company, right? That access is important. When you take these classes, you want to be able to follow up with some questions that you may or may not have or may not thought about during that actual class. So it's important that you got that access, that continued education.
Yes, sir. Man, y'all get some good game, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button.
I want to ask you a question. Go ahead. I want to ask you a question about the future of trucking. What do you think about these self-driving vehicles? And you think they're going to get advanced enough to where they're actually going to be able to move loads back and forth? How do you think it's going to influence the trucking industry?
I think any technology that works is good, right? You just got to learn how to benefit from it. Now, I don't think within the next, 4 or 5 years, it's going to be so many that it's going to put a lot of trucking businesses, a lot of trucking companies out of business at some point, 20, 30 years down the line. It may be, but that's why you hear me say all the time, you got to pivot before you force to pivot. When you see certain things happening, you have to tap into other lanes in trucking. Don't get so bogged down with that one lane you've been in for, 5, 6, 7, 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, in any type of business, my motto is this: you master that lane. You master that lane until you're able to teach it, and then you move on to another lane while still, you know, seeking the profits from the initial lane. You just got to be able to pivot. You know, the people that stuck with one way to make money in a $1 trillion industry, I always wonder why. Like, what makes them just stay stagnant? So you know, there's a lot of people that's scared. Oh man, you got these autonomous trucks coming. What are we gonna do? You better learn how to get money another way in trucking, just in case it gets to the point where you can't get money with that old truck that you got. You got to change the
Yeah.
game. And you hear me say it a lot, because to hear that an industry that's approaching $1 trillion is dead, to me, I laugh at it. You know, you
Yeah.
just can't stay a dinosaur. You got to do other things.
Hmm. I just look at it with like almost anything else. When a certain
And adapt or
when
die, as they say, right?
Yeah.
yeah, when a certain group of people start making money, the rules start changing,
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
you just gotta learn how to adapt and move with it. And they keep moving the goalposts, but you just gotta learn how to keep playing the game.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely, and that's what you see even with different laws that's coming out. Even with dispatching, wanting to make sure that most dispatchers, if they're not doing it the correct way, you need to go get a broker's license. It's always going to be something. What I don't like to see is people just ride the wave, and then not thinking that wave is going to end at some point. That's why they say ride the
exactly.
wave, right? So you ride it. But then you get people that stuck there, and then those are the same ones that's bad mouthing the industry that runs the country, which just makes no sense to me.
Gotcha. Now, man, you got the saying, trucking paid for it.
Absolutely.
Now, what has trucking done for you outside of the business, and like help you like achieve certain goals or start other businesses outside of transportation?
Well, want to achieve certain goals. Everybody know my daughter is she's that catalyst for me. She goes to the best school in Georgia. This is one of those most top elite schools. And if it wasn't for trucking, I wouldn't be able to afford that 3,200 a month, right?
Yeah.
So when I say trucking paid for it, it's not just it's not the flights and the vacations. It's the things that can really leave a legacy for you, right? Create paths that's so much easier for my daughter to achieve than it was when I did it. And so to me, that's more important than even opening another business. When I say truck and pay for it, I really mean the lifestyle that my kid lives, right? The place she lives in, the school she goes to, the events that she's able to attend, going to Emory for a week out the summer. These are things that we would never be able to have access to when I was growing up. Not because mama didn't love us, just because she couldn't afford to send us to those places. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean by trucking paid for. Trucking is leaving a legacy behind, so that that last name means something. As far as other businesses, obviously going from box trucks to semis, learning how to rent trailers out, buy trailers and rent them out. That 1,200 or 1,400 a month residual. It's a business within itself. Opening a roadside service, it's a business within itself. Being able to pay for fuel up front to be able to get that percentage on the back end. That's another stream of income within itself. So we didn't just stop at trucks. We didn't just stop at box trucks. We didn't stop at getting a semi with no trailer. We just always wanted to tap into different things, even consultations, buying trucks from now officially a brand ambassador at Aero Truck Sales. That's
That's
what
what's up.
that was pretty dope to get that news recently, because we've been buying a lot of trucks from there, and they wanted to partner with us, having them sponsor events. That's when I say trucking paid for. Yeah, the actual truck has allowed these different doors to be open, right? Being in rooms that your name spoken in rooms that you don't even walk in. That's the beauty
Yeah.
of what trucking was able to do, and then what we can do with that type of energy is amazing. So yeah, when I say trucking paid for, yeah, the trips is dope. I'm not gonna lie, the lifestyle is pretty cool. But when I look
Yeah.
at the school she go to, it's like a little college. Like it's actually, her school looks better than Howard. Like it looks like a real college.
Yeah.
To be able to attend something like that at the age of 12, 11 is pretty dope. I'm going on her
Yeah.
second year, and so that I just I can't wait to see what trucking, the imprint that it has on my daughter's life, right? Just to she's so spoiled and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see her parent being able to work from home, I think that's what trucking paid for, to get my time back so I can
Yeah.
spend all day with my kid. Yesterday we was everywhere. We was tearing Atlanta up, and I don't got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning unless I want to, right?
Exactly.
So that's what trucking
Yeah.
pays for, man. It's different. I didn't have a relationship with my dad growing up, even though he was in the house. He barely was, right? So for her to be able to, have Halloween parties, right, and have the option to not want to get gifts for Christmas, right? Like these are things that
Mm-hmm.
um that trucking paid for. Employing people fresh out of prison, giving them an opportunity, getting, drivers that come home from prison doing 10 years. Next thing you know, they're a company driver. Now they got their own truck and they got their own sense of freedom.
Yeah.
They don't have to be told what to do, right? You spend that much time in prison, you get so used to being told what to do. And then,
Yeah.
for us to be able to help him get his own truck and trailer and talk to his mom on the phone and see her reaction and see his son doing something that even he didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
That's what trucking pays for. So, that I like that phrase because you can go a lot of different places with it.
Yeah. Man. So for the listeners out there, man, who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs or leaders, what advice would you offer for achieving success in this competitive world of transportation and logistics?
Oh man, one, if you're getting into the trucking industry and that's what your aspiration is, I would always say take a dispatch training class. And I say this because it prepares you for the actual part of, like, if you're really taking a class from someone who's teaching it from an owner perspective, it prepares you for what's really going to happen. What happens at those shippers, receivers, how do you communicate with your broker? How do you get direct customers? Man, what's federal filings? How do you hire the right driver? What's the right truck and trailer you need? These are things
Mm-hmm.
you can learn in a dispatch training class and or a mentor. So to invest 150,000 for your truck and trailer in this industry, if it's decent equipment, but you don't invest $300-400 on a training class or $400 or $500 on a mentor, to me, is hustling backwards. It's foolish.
Yeah.
This industry ain't nothing to play with. It's not a t-shirt brand. This is not a hair salon, right? This
Yeah.
is big boy business. Like, you really got to know this stuff before you buy your first anything.
Yeah.
You just have to. So, if you're gonna get in this industry, the very first thing you need to do is just get you a mentor. Just pay for their time.
Yeah.
And it may not even be for you. This trucking is all day, every day. You see, I'm trying to hurry and do a podcast and move around and handle things at the same time. It's a constant hustle. It's a constant grind. There is no days off. There is no holidays.
Mm-hmm.
There's no birthdays. If you really want to do this trucking for
Yeah.
real, that first year, you got to know what it means to bear down. Like, that's what I mean by bear down. You can't have any distractions or it's going to eat you up. A simple mistake can cost you $10,000-$20,000, right? So
Yeah.
you got to know what you're doing in this game. It's not to sell
Yeah.
mentorship. You don't have to use me as a mentor, but you definitely need to get one. You definitely need to get somebody who's been doing this. And not to say you got to pay for their time. A simple conversation will go a long way in this industry. That's the first thing. You got to educate yourself. Education's the only equalizer. Don't spend no money out here because your boy told you it was gonna be a good industry or this is sweet lick. It don't work like that. It don't work like
Yeah.
that. This is federally regulated for a reason.
Yeah.
So
They will come see you.
yeah, they gonna come knock right at your
Yeah.
front door. Like, they gonna come find you. They gonna come see you. They not playing. These citations are serious. They have to be
Yeah.
paid. Like, you gotta have the money right before you can tap into trucking. I think the people that are really successful in it are people who come from other backgrounds, people who already had a business and they understand how to run a business the proper way. And then you tap into trucking and it makes it a lot easier. But don't do like I did. Don't just jump. I'm gonna jump off the porch. All right, you're gonna jump your behind right back on that porch. I promise you
Yeah.
that. So ain't no jumping off the porch and trucking.
Yeah.
Ain't no easy way to do it either.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a certain type of person, man, to
Just
deal
a
with
little
that,
bit
man.
about.
Go ahead, JB.
I was gonna say this a little bit. I hear you talk a lot about dispatching. What exactly does a dispatcher do in trucking?
Oh man, really, it's they're pretty much like that liaison between the carrier, the driver, and the broker. Of course, the customer gets the loads to the broker gets them to the dispatcher then gets them to the carrier. Um, and so that's what they do. They pretty much negotiate the rates and terms and conditions on that load by on behalf of that carrier. So it's an important job. I mean, they talk to the brokers, the customers, shippers, receivers, the drivers, the owner operators, insurance. Dispatchers talk to pretty much everybody, permits, DOT if you get pulled over. So it's a lot of things that a dispatcher handles. And that's why it's important, because it's the only part in trucking that deals with everybody and everything. So that's why it's important to know that role.
Copy. Man, one thing I experienced while I was on the road is people trying to dispatch, they didn't know anything about the equipment. They trying to give you a load and it can't even fit, or it's not. You know, they don't know anything. They just trying to get a quick dollar.
Right. You know, the box trucks, I ran one in like 9 years, but you know, some 97-inch clearance, some 100, 110, 101, 26 pallets. If you double stacking them, how much weight can they hold? 10,000 pounds. And I kind of still know a little bit about box trucks. But, you know, it's crazy. You know, when you're doing this dispatching, is again, you got to run it from an owner perspective. How much drive time do they have? Are they a nighttime driver, daytime driver, right?
Yeah. How
much more time is on the clock so you know if they can pick that next load and drop it on time? How do you get your lumpers? Like, you know, it's so much that you got to learn with this dispatching. But number one is a communication with the driver.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people are selling dispatch training courses. You know, but they just, to me, I just think a lot of information wasn't given. You know, you take a dispatch training class and don't know how to solicit a carrier, that mean that class is worthless, right? So
exactly.
But that dispatcher is an important position. It's really like the quarterback. If you're thinking of a football perspective, you know, the drivers out of the wide receivers and the running backs, right? You know, you got your blockers. That's, you know, that shit. You know, your blockers are probably like your compliance team, and then you got the defense, DOT. Breakdown, you know what I'm saying? Insurance payment, payroll.
The opposition.
Everything it's gonna stop you. It's the op. It's gonna stop you from getting that load drop, tire blowout. The load ain't ready, right? So, but trucking is dope, man. It's really a good industry. If you think, you know, you out there and you listening, you thinking about getting into trucking, just make sure, you know, you take a couple classes first before you spend and invest any of your money.
Yeah, man. If ain't no drivers in the seat, man, the wheels ain't turning. Dispatchers, you got to take care of your drivers, and man, respect them. They're not just a little dot on the screen, just moving from city to city.
Right.
They're actual human beings. They got families. They got lives.
Absolutely.
ZB, you got one more?
Yeah, man. I was just wondering, man. I heard you like really into like buying trailers, right? Is that like a whole nother lane, a whole nother like way to make money in the trucking industry? Just running trailers by themselves, like owning trailers.
Absolutely. Like I was saying before, I look at buying trailers like mobile real estate. There's really no difference. You know, either you're gonna buy them, put a little money into them, you know, fix them up, flip them, and sell them, just like real estate, or you're gonna buy them, fix them up a little bit, or maybe not even have to fix them up and rent them out. You know, there's so many different ways to make money with the trucking industry. Trailer is, to me, it's that residual. You know, if you got the right contract in place, which we do, you know, you're not responsible for the maintenance or the insurance. So at this point, you're just giving that box away, and you're just, you know, 6-month, 12-month contracts. That $1,200 a month, depending on the trailer you're making model, that's just residual. And you do that 10 times a month, that's $14,000 a month. Most people bills don't accumulate to $14,000 a month. So you can essentially, with 10 box trucks, retire yourself. As you know, box trucks gonna last a lot longer than the actual truck, so it's a pretty solid investment. And I would suggest every 5 years, just go ahead and sell the box truck. Go ahead and get you, you know, with that money, go ahead and buy another box truck or two. You know, we've seen the industry prices on this equipment go skyrocket, which at that time, just like stocks, it's time to sell, right? So, you know, if you spend $30,000 in a trailer and now it's worth $45,000, go ahead and sell that trailer, profit that $15,000, invest that $30,000 back, and just run the play all over again. So that's why I love this trucking industry. When people say it's dead, I just gave you a $14,000 play, and it don't take long to do it. Like, they really don't. So, you know, it's just getting with the right people, aligning yourself with people who've been in this industry long enough to learn how to turn a dollar or two, that don't mind giving you the resources and the tools to be successful. That's what you need to look into when you consider leasing on with the company. What value do they have outside of whatever position that you came to them in, right? That's how you scale. You know, if you come to me with one truck and no trailer, well, first, we're not going to lease you on with no trailer. We're not doing that, right? It's not going to work for you. So it's just gonna work. But, you know, you come with, you know, one truck and one trailer. The goal is to help you learn from our mistakes, you know, and learn from what we've learned in the industry, which is how to reinvest. And hopefully you'll leave with 3 trucks, 4 trucks, 5 trailers. So, that's always the goal.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you help people how to scale, show people how to scale, and help them scale up.
Yep.
A lot of people just don't know. They don't know they might need somebody else. Some people want to do everything by themselves. They don't feel like hiring anybody else on. They don't trust nobody.
Right.
Nope. A
And why
mentor can
you in
help you with
business?
that.
I said, well, why you in business? If you can't build your team and you can't establish trust in other people, then how do you expect your business to be successful? Right? You have to be able to align yourself with people in order for you to grow, for you to get out that rut. Again, these older trucks, they're breaking down. That money, you're
Yeah.
not making money that week. Now you got to pay for repairs. Your driver's tired of sitting at the hotel. And all because you didn't invest the money properly. Take that
Yeah.
same money you paid cash for a truck and go and get you a note with a warranty. It alleviates a lot of issues.
Now, man, I was at the barbershop the other day, and the person cutting my hair said they drove truck for 2 years. They got out. They said they were working for an owner operator. And then I say, man, so how would y'all make y'all money? Were y'all living off the load board? And that person said, yeah, we was living off the load board. I'd be stuck somewhere sitting in the city in the parking lot, waiting on them, try to find a load. And they said it wasn't for me. They said, so they went to barber school after that.
Okay.
What would you say to people that's trying to live off the load board?
You know what? Obviously, when you first start your MC, we talked about the difference between having your motor carrier number and leasing on. That's one of the issues, that you have to live off that load board. It's easy. You gotta really create those relationships with those brokers. To me, when you get to that point where you can just pick up your phone, you can type a state in or type a city, and a broker pops up in your number, and you've already had, back and forth, I don't know how many times via text message. That's when you establish that relationship with that broker. You should be able to just pick up your phone, put what city they're going to. Broker should pop up with that city information in there, with the load, what the rate normally paid, where it picked, where it dropped, and you should be able to text that broker. That's how good you should be. Living off that load board, you got to understand the load board is the scraps. That's where all the loads go that they couldn't get off, right? That they didn't have a relationship with the broker I'm speaking on. So those lows are not what you want to live off of. But I'm pretty sure if that truck was sitting, they probably didn't have any specialized freight. They probably were dealing with dry vans, which is oversaturated, which is always going to be a saturated entity of trucking. But when you start dealing with specialized freight, your reefers, your flatbeds, your step decks, your RGNs, you're going to not only have loads available, because there's not a lot of truck drivers with those trailers, RGNs, step decks. So it's easy to find freight, and then it's easy to build relationships with those brokers, because you don't have you got a million drive-ins.
Yeah, you're not wrestling with everybody for the same.
Right, 100,000 flatbed loads, and so the brokers that have your specialized freight, it's easier to build those relationships with them, because they're not dealing with as many customers as somebody with a drive-in would. It makes sense, right? So, so that's why if you change your trailer type and you build those relationships with those specific brokers, you really shouldn't just be living off a load board. But that's the point of what I'm saying. When you're a new person, you have a new MC, that's why your truck is probably sitting, right? And that's why you're getting those lower rates. Brokers, when they first thing what a broker asks you when you're booking a load, what's your MC, right? They don't even care about your MC. Right now, they just, at that point, they sizing you up. They want to know what type of freight you got, what type of trucks you got, what type of freight you are. How many pieces of equipment do you have? How long have you been in business? And so and that's why his truck was probably sitting. He didn't establish those relationships. But when you lease on, you go with an aged MC, somebody who's been in the business, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna find yourself sitting like that.
Yeah. For those that don't know, your MC is kind of like your social security number.
Absolutely.
All your information pop up. They got a report card on you.
Absolutely.
They know whether you do good business or bad business.
Absolutely.
They know if you got insurance or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've seen some people, man, they couldn't even get a load. They got called for the load, but they couldn't take because they couldn't produce the insurance.
Yeah, right. How you don't have a COI on deck? That should be in your favor.
Exactly.
Right. For those that don't know, the COI is Certificate of Insurance. If you can't produce it, that means you don't have none. Because
exactly.
It's like saying you can't driver's license, man. You got to be able to produce that.
Exactly. Now, for people that's driving, what kind of certifications would you require them to have? Like a twit card, hazmat endorsement, triples, doubles? What?
On our team, we're not running triples and doubles. CDL, at least 2 years experience, clean MVR. If it's flatbed, same thing, at least 2 years experience, clean MVR. Those are pretty much, no SAP program right now. We did used to hire SAP, but right now we kind of stand away from it. But those are requirements. If you got your CDL 5 years and you've been in 6-7 jobs, we definitely not gonna hire you. Consistency. People that's looking to grow with the company. Those are requirements. As far as owner operators, new equipment, Definitely got to have a trailer. It doesn't have to be a flatbed, although we prefer a flatbed. But those are pretty much the requirements there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I done seen some good paying jobs on some flatbed.
Absolutely.
I got a partner, got a buddy here in Houston, man. He just do 3 jobs a day.
Mm-hmm.
He made $1,500 a day, 500 each load. He done by noontime. He got 5 trucks. None of his trucks even leave the city.
I love it. I love it.
He loving like his whole life has changed. I remember when he was in a little 1-bedroom apartment, little bitty car. Now he got him some land, boat, everything, bikes, everything good.
Trucking paid for it. I love it.
Exactly, man.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on and sharing the knowledge with us, man. And like we said, man, if y'all want to tap in, make sure y'all go to keeptruckingtransportation.com. It's on the bottom of the screen. Y'all get this knowledge, man. Get a consultation with Mr. Michael Nelms. Tap in with him, man. And also, too, make sure you go to that link. And also, you want to tap into him on IG. You can go to Matty Daddy Time, at Matty Daddy Time on IG, or at Keep Trucking Transportation.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate you, bro.
And thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. I got to come back on the show, too.
Thank you so much.
Oh, hell yeah.
Good meeting you, brother.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes, sir. And we're gonna
me too.
We're gonna take it out of here on the theme music, man.
Yeah, play my song, man.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Play my song.
Get it.
If you really want to win, my friend, then keep trucking. This is not a game, the name is Keep Trucking. If you really want to win, my friend, then keep trucking. Tell them this is not a game, the name is Keep You wanna be like Mike and join the winning team. You gotta have the mind grind, drive in the dream. You love to negotiate and elevate from your chit chat. Get paid to talk on the phone, learn how to dispatch, increase your clientele. We show you how to scale. Get it off the boat, off the plane, off the rail. And if you need a driver, got a truck and wanna lease it on, trailer rental, mentorship, homie, we can put you on. Learn about the business, how to get into the transportation. Follow Matty Daddy Time. Book a consultation while you wait. Don't you want to know what's really happening? Hit up Matty Daddy right now for all your factories. Start tapping in to this higher power. Come and get your blessing. Need a way to take care of the fam. Come and get your lesson. Looking for a change. I know you're praying for it. When they ask you how you did it, tell them trucking paid for it. Keep trucking. If you really want to win, my friend, then keep trucking.
Man, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on with us. Man, keep trucking, man. It's available on Spotify, all music streaming platforms, man. Show your support. Make sure you go to the actual website, Keep Trucking Transportation, man, and tap in on Mr. Michael Nelms, man. The fresh OG.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, easy.
Get that lesson. Like the song said, get the lesson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Yes, sir. Please, thank you, bro. Yeah, man. Mr. Michael Nelms, man. Keep Trucking Transportation, man. We appreciate him coming on the show, man. If you want to get this info again, make sure you tune in. Rewatch the episode if you missed anything, man. Or go to his IG, go to the website, man, and tap in and get that information. If you're looking into getting transportation and you want somebody with knowledge and experience to help you, go to him. We all need mentors in life. Even mentors have mentors. You know? It's easy in life, man. You got somebody who already got the knowledge in the game instead of bumping your head and and learning from being hard-headed.
Yeah, definitely cut your time down, man. Your time is the most important thing you have, man. So go ahead and get somebody already done went through all the hard stuff and already had the knowledge for you. So most definitely tap in.
Yes, sir, man. Well, this has been another amazing episode. I'm talking about extraordinary episode of the Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for tapping in with those that stay tuned in. Thank you. We appreciate you, man. We're going to get this episode, right back up. Man, y'all tap into us, man. Stay tuned, man. We got more to come, more special guests. Next month we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary.
1 year.
Going strong. You know what I'm saying?
Strong.
There's been some bumps,
We
in the road.
Yeah, we 38 episodes in. We 38 episodes in. So
as always, man, make sure you hit the like button, man. Subscribe, comment, share. Man, go to MCABW podcast at Gmail, man. Tap in with your boys, man. Go to CTRmedianetwork.com. Hit the icon with the Men Can Always Be Wrong on there. Fill out a registration form if you'd like to come on the show. Tap in with us if you'd like to advertise with us, man. Shout out to the King's Thought of the Day podcast. Shout out to Mr. Jeff Clay, the one, and his Wind Down Wednesdays and his True Sessions on Saturdays. Tap in, man. A shout out to Fran Fomai. Shout out to CTR Media Network, making it all possible. Shout out to Miss She Trucking for hooking me and Mr. Michael Nelms or Mr. Keep Trucking together. She put us in the same room. I was able to make a song for him, man. And, we did business. And it all worked out lovely. Tap in, man. Tap in, man. You get on with us, man. You become part of an amazing network. And you'd be surprised what kind of doors it can open up for you.
Exactly.
So.
And you'd be surprised on who had your eye on you too, because we're all in all kind of different countries, man. So
yeah, man. The Men Can't Always Be Wrong. CTR Media itself is in 350 million listeners in over 70 plus countries. The Men Can't Always Be Wrong themselves. We're a part of that, but we also have our own 50-something countries that we in. Get your business, your voice, your ideas in front of the people. Tap in with you guys, man. It's your guy T Swin.
And your boy J Bean.
And we up out of here.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
The time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. The time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. Men can't always be. Men can't always be. Men can't always be wrong. Men can't always be. Men can't always be. Men can't always be. Men can't always be wrong. Men can't always be.
What up, everybody? It's your guy T Swin. As you know, I was recently featured in the Trucker Magazine's March issue for my transportation music. Well, the wait is finally over. The transportation music is here now. Man, you can play it, stream it, download it, buy it, man. Spread the word. Good, clean music that jams. Be a part of history in the making, man. The first ever all transportation music album ever. Our own genre, transportation music. Ride what you got, T Swin. Let's get it.
Yes, let me show you how to pick it up and move it. Homie, this is transportation music. Something to ease your mind while you're cruising. Homie, this is transportation music.